My sister made secret copies of my beach house keys, but when I charged her $1,000 deposit, I donated all her money at the family barbecue and left her speechless. I'm 39 years old. I work in digital marketing, and I need to tell this story because what my sister did to me a few months ago basically destroyed whatever trust was left between us. And honestly, I don't regret one bit how I handled the whole thing. I guess I should start from the beginning. When I bought the vacation house like 3 years ago, after literally saving every penny for almost a decade, it wasn't anything fancy. I mean, it's a little beach house about 3 hours from where I live, 2 bedrooms, 1.5 bathrooms, but it was mine, completely paid off, no mortgage or anything like that, and for me it represented years of sacrifice, of not going out as much, of cooking at home instead of ordering food, of driving the same car for 8 years because I just couldn't justify buying a new one. That house was my pride, my place to disconnect on weekends, and my investment for the future. My sister, Jennifer, who's 31, has always been different from me in terms of how she handles money. She got married young, like at 22, to Ryan, who's now 34, and who basically jumps from job to job every 6 months because he always has some problem with his bosses or his coworkers or whatever. They have 3 kids, and look, I love them. They're my nephews and niece and everything. But Jennifer and Ryan live constantly on the edge, always borrowing to make ends meet, always with some financial drama. I tried to help when I could, like small loans that honestly I never expected them to pay back. But I also had to take care of my own finances because I worked really hard to get where I am. It all started like 8 months ago. In February, I think. When Jennifer called me crying, saying she was super stressed, that the kids were driving her crazy, that she needed a vacation, but obviously they didn't have money for a hotel or anything like that. And I, being the older sister and feeling sorry for her because she did look tired every time I saw her, offered her the beach house for a week. I told her, look, you can take the family, rest a bit. You don't owe me anything. Just take good care of it and that's it. She got super happy, literally screaming on the phone, saying I was the best sister in the world and she didn't know how to thank me. I gave her the keys, explained how everything worked, where the gas tank for the grill was, how to adjust the thermostat, those things, and off they went. The week went by without problems, or so I thought. They sent me pictures of the kids at the beach, Ryan grilling burgers, Jennifer sunbathing with a margarita, all very nice. When they came back, they returned the keys, the house was relatively clean, all good. I thought, okay, this was a success, I'm glad I could help. Jennifer even sent me a super long message thanking me and saying it had been exactly what they needed to reconnect as a family. Everything perfect, right? Well, wait, because this is where things get interesting. Like 2 weeks later, I was at my apartment on a Sunday afternoon, watching Netflix or something, when my Aunt Linda calls me. She's like 55 and lives on the other side of town. And she says, "Hey, Catherine, Jennifer gave me the keys to your beach house. Is it okay if I go next weekend with my husband?" And I was like, "What? What keys are you talking about?" And she tells me, "Well, the ones Jennifer gave me last week. She said you had said the family could use the house whenever they wanted." And I swear I felt like someone had thrown a bucket of ice water on me. I told my aunt to hold on a moment, that I was going to clear this up, and hung up. I immediately called Jennifer, and when she answered, I was already pretty upset but trying to stay calm. And I said, "Did you give Aunt Linda keys to my house?" And she, like super casual, tells me, "Oh yeah, I made some copies because I thought it would be okay for the family to use it too. After all, you hardly ever go." And I was like, "Excuse me? You made copies of my keys without asking me?" And that's when she started getting defensive, saying I was selfish, that the family should be able to enjoy the house too, that what did I want it for, just for myself? If it was empty most of the time? I told her that wasn't the point, that it was my property, that I had paid for it, that she had no right to go around giving out keys like it was hers. But here comes the part that really made me explode. I started making calls, because if she gave keys to Aunt Linda, who else did she give them to? Turns out the shameless woman had literally made like 6 or 7 copies and had given them to various family members. My cousin Rachel, who's always into all the family gossip, told me that Jennifer had been bragging in a family WhatsApp group that I'm not part of, saying she had gotten free access to a beach house for the whole family and that she had been super smart making the copies before returning them to me. Can you believe it? Not only did she do it, but she was proud of it. like she had done something clever instead of something completely unacceptable and basically illegal. I called Jennifer again, this time without trying to stay calm, and told her I needed her to return all the copies she had made and to contact every person she had given keys to so they could return them to me too. And she literally yelled at me that I was stingy, that family was more important than some stupid keys, that I had always been the selfish sister who only thought about herself. She told me that after everything the family had done for me, which honestly I don't know what she was referring to, because I've always been pretty independent, and the least I could do was share something. I didn't even use that much. And she hung up. I sat there on my couch, literally shaking with rage, and decided, okay, if that's how she wanted to play, we were going to play. The first thing I did the next day was call a locksmith and changed all the locks on the beach house. All of them. Front door, back door, even the one on the little shed where I keep the garden tools. I spent like $800 on new high-security locks, but it was worth every penny. None of those pirate keys Jennifer had handed out were going to work for anything. But here's where I admit, got a little creative with my revenge. Instead of just leaving things there, I decided to teach her a lesson she would never forget. Like a week after changing the locks, I sent Jennifer a super nice message. Like, hey, I've been thinking and you're right. Maybe I was too harsh with you. My family is important, and I do have that house that's empty. A lot. I told her I had decided to implement a super special family rental program where family members could use the house, but had to pay a $1,000 deposit that I would return when they left the house in perfect condition. I told her that since she had been the one who had the idea of sharing the house, I wanted her to be the first to take advantage of this new program. And the fool fell for it completely. She told me $1,000 was a lot, but that she and Ryan had been saving a little, you don't know from where, honestly, and that they did want to be the first to reserve. We agreed to meet at a cafe near my apartment so she could give me the deposit and I could give her the new keys. We met on a Tuesday afternoon, and she arrived all smiling, like super proud of herself, and gave me an envelope with $1,000 in cash. She told me she had already told the whole family about the rental program and that several were interested. I just smiled, took the money, and told her perfect, that I'd let her know when I had the keys ready. Now, the truly satisfying part of this whole story. Turns out my Uncle Mark, my dad's brother, was going to have a big family barbecue like a month later, like a reunion of the whole extended family, and I made sure to go. Jennifer was there, of course, and throughout the afternoon I heard her, bragging to different family members about how she had gotten the first turn in my house's new rental program, how she had been so smart saving the deposit, how she was going to take her family again in 2 weeks. She was in her element, basically hogging everyone's attention. I waited until we were all eating, like 30 people there in my uncle's backyard, and then I stood up and asked for everyone's attention. I said I wanted to clarify something about my beach house because I had heard there was a lot of confusion. Jennifer was looking at me like with panic in her eyes. I think at that moment she sensed something bad was coming. I told the whole family, loud enough for everyone to hear, that I wanted them to know that there is no family rental program, that this was something I made up specifically for Jennifer, after she betrayed my trust by making unauthorized copies of my keys and distributing them to the family without my permission. The silence that followed was, I don't know, like, magical. Everyone staring at Jennifer, who had turned completely red. And then I continued. I told them that Jennifer had paid me $1,000 for a program that never existed, and that I was going to donate that money in full to a charity in her name, as thanks for teaching me how low someone can go when they feel entitled to things that aren't theirs. I took out my phone and right there, in front of everyone, I made the donation online to a homeless shelter and showed the confirmation screen. Jennifer exploded. Obviously. She started screaming that I was a psychopath. How could I do that to her? That she needed that money for the kids. Ryan tried to defend her, but honestly no one was listening, because half the family was like in shock, and the other half, and this was the best part, was starting to laugh. My cousin Rachel, who loves family drama, was the first to make a comment like, "Wow, Jennifer, you got played at your own game," and from there it unleashed. People making jokes, some asking out loud how it's possible to be that stupid, others saying I had done the right thing. Jennifer and Ryan left the barbecue like 10 minutes later, and honestly the rest of the afternoon was amazing. Several relatives came up to me to say I had done well, that Jennifer had always been kind of a user, and that someone had to put her in her place. My Aunt Linda, who had been one of those who received the pirate keys, even apologized to me saying she didn't know Jennifer didn't have permission to make the copies. But the story doesn't end there. During the following weeks, Jennifer's thing became like the family joke. Every gathering, every WhatsApp group, someone made reference to the famous $1,000. Rachel even made a meme with Jennifer's face and text about paying for things that don't exist, and it circulated through all the family chats. Jennifer stopped going to family events for a while, I think out of pure embarrassment, and when she finally showed up again, at my grandmother's birthday like 2 months later, people were still making comments to her. Ryan tried to contact me a couple times asking me to return the money, saying Jennifer had learned her lesson, but I stood firm. I sent him the donation receipt and told him the money had gone to a better cause. I also took the opportunity to send a formal email to the whole family, super clear, explaining that my beach house was my private property, that no one had permission to use it without my explicit written authorization, and that any attempt to access it without permission would be considered trespassing and I would report it to the police. Maybe it sounded very legal and dramatic, but I needed it to be absolutely clear. Now, several months later, Jennifer and I basically don't talk. We see each other at mandatory family events and we're civil, like hello and goodbye, but that's it. She never really apologized, just tried to justify what she did, saying she thought I wasn't going to get that upset. My mom, who passed away years ago, by the way, so she wasn't in all this drama, thank God, always told us sisters should stick together. But honestly, I think she would have taken my side on this too, because she was super strict about respecting other people's property. The family still talks about the incident. On Thanksgiving last year, my Uncle Mark made a toast like half joking, half serious about valuing what others share with us and not taking advantage of family generosity, and we all knew exactly what he was referring to. Jennifer was there and practically sank into her chair. Ryan looked uncomfortable. Their kids, who are like 9, 6, and 4, fortunately don't really understand what happened. They just know that Mom and Aunt Catherine aren't as close as before. Do I feel bad about how I handled everything? Honestly, not really. Maybe the public show at the barbecue was a bit extra, I admit. But Jennifer needed to understand that there are consequences for actions, especially when those actions involve basically stealing access to someone else's property and then having the nerve to be proud of it. The fact that she thought it was okay to make copies of my keys and hand them out like they were pizza flyers shows a level of entitlement that frankly scares me a little. Some family members have told me I should forgive her and move on, that at the end of the day, she's my sister and family is what's most important. And yes, she's my sister, and that's not going to change. But I also firmly believe in boundaries, and that people have to respect what isn't theirs. If I had let this slide, what was next? Jennifer using my house whenever she felt like it? Lending it to friends? Throwing parties there without my knowledge? And the house is still my refuge. And now I value it even more, because I know it's truly mine, that no one has access to it except me. I changed the locks, installed a security camera, something you should have done from the beginning, honestly. And I'm very clear about who can and who can't visit it. I've had close friends there, a couple of cousins I really trust and who asked for permission appropriately, but the list is short and well curated. The donated money thing was maybe my favorite part of this whole situation. Not only did Jennifer lose $1,000, which I know was hard for them to come up with, but that money went to help people who really need it. Every time I think about it, I feel a little better about the whole situation. The shelter sent me a thank you card, and even put Jennifer's name on their donor list for the month on their website, which was like the cherry on top. I guess in the end, this story is about boundaries, about respect, and about the fact that family is not an excuse to take advantage of others. Jennifer is still my sister. Her kids are still my nephews and niece. But our relationship changed permanently that day. And although part of me wishes things were different, that she had simply respected my property from the beginning, another part of me is at peace with how things turned out. She learned a lesson, albeit in the most humiliating way possible, and I learned to be more careful with my generosity and who I trust. Last week, my oldest niece, the 9-year-old, asked me why Mom and I don't talk as much as before. I told her that sometimes adults have disagreements about important things, but that I still love her and her siblings very much. She thought for a moment and then asked me if I could take her to the beach house someday. Just the two of us. I told her when she's a little older, definitely. Because at the end of the day, my nephews and niece aren't to blame for their mom's decisions, and I don't want them to pay for Jennifer's mistakes. But for now, that house remains my space, my achievement, and my reminder that working hard and setting firm boundaries is completely worth it, even when that means your younger sister becomes the family joke for several months. And honestly, after everything that happened, I can live with that without any problem.